Hello, my name is Dr. Symko, and today I'm going to talk about why or how the brain is connected to the gut and how important that connection is. There are some individuals that say that the gut or your stomach is a second brain. There are about 5 million nerve cells in your gut, and how it's closely related to your brain is quite remarkable, and why so many problems with your brain or your gut can actually have effect on, well, problems with your gut can have effect on your brain, or problems with your brain can actually have effects on your gut. Now, have you ever felt nervous going to talk to a crowd of people or meeting someone for the first time and you get those butterflies in your stomach? Well, that's a reality. Then that means that your brain is thinking you're nervous, and then it actually affects your stomach. Those butterflies or those nerves getting excited, or your stomach increased motility, or what have you. Definitely associated with what's going on in your head and your gut. The other fascinating thing is that the food you eat can actually affect your brain through your gut. It can affect your gut adversely, which actually can affect your brain. The other phenomenon is if your gut has some problems, if it's inflamed, you have an infection or something wrong with your gut, such as what's called a leaky gut or Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis or whatever those types of things, it can actually affect your brain. And this is how it does. Here's a model of a brain, and the brain is made up of all these sort of wiggly things are called, it's gray matter. It's the covering of all the nerves that are found deep inside, and its goal is to sort of modulate how those nerves deep inside your brain work. But at any rate, looking at this, you can't really tell, but there are separate lobes. Neurologists and scientists have figured out that there are separate lobes within the brain, and generally there is something called the frontal lobe, which is right here, frontal lobe, which actually controls you, makes you. There's also parietal lobes, which are found right here on both sides, all right? And there's something called the temporal lobe, which is found right here on both sides. Now there's another, and the occipital lobe is found in the back. Now there's another lobe that's not talked about a great deal, but this is the lobe that is sort of connected to your gut, and it's called the insular lobe. Now the insular lobe is found in the junction between the parietal lobe and the temporal lobe, and it's found right in here, which is sort of right here in your head, but deep inside. Deep inside. And that's called the insular lobe. The insular lobe has what we call a map, or a road map or road work of all the stuff that's inside of you, all the viscera, all the stomach, the kidneys, the lungs, the heart, all that stuff is mapped out in the insular lobe, which is found deep in your brain. Now, that has a direct connection to mainly your gut or your stomach down here. So anything that affects here can affect that. Anything that affects the insular lobe can affect there, because they're very closely related. Just like your brain runs your thought, or runs the motion of your arms, or runs your heartbeat, the brain also runs your gut. Now, why is this so important is to know that things that affect your gut can affect your brain adversely. Certain foods, like I mentioned earlier. So the insular lobe has a map of the entire gut area. So what can positively affect the insular lobe? So things like if you have a stomach ache or you don't feel so good, a nice thing to do is to put some warm, moist heat on your stomach, which actually would affect the insular lobe, which might actually make you feel better. Interesting, is it not? The other thing is some gentle vibration on your gut will also make your insular lobe feel better. Now, there are some fascinating things about the insular lobe. One is that it's located next to the balance center we don't really have a balance center as humans, but it's sort of located near the balance center. And the balance center, if you excite the insular lobe with moist heat, you actually might feel less dizzy if you have that as a problem. There are other things that are associated, like nausea. Even it's possible that sad feelings can also be associated with some problems with your gut. So the takeaway here is that the brain is directly connected to your stomach. You can affect your brain or your stomach positively with some moist heat, perhaps, if you have an issue, or even music, sort of calming music if you feel nauseous or dizzy, and a little excited music, sort of like Mozart or Beethoven, if you feel you can't get the words out right. Also, the gut memory can be helped with this. That area of the brain, right in here near the insular lobe, is one of the initial areas, particularly on the right-hand side, that is affected with dementia or Alzheimer's. You can also smell. Smell has a very big impact on the insular area as well. And usually the right side, the right nostril, smells into the right area of the brain, and the left nostril smells into the left area of the brain. So if you're having smell problems, you want to get that back. You want to make sure that you smell properly. One of the ways is to maybe put some moist heat on your stomach and close a nostril and smell things in either the right or left side. Thank you. Have a good day.